Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to The Voice of the Times this Saturday, May 29, 2021. For today's editorial, landmark Shell ruling spells end to climate debate. The ruling of a court in the Netherlands last May 27 that oil giant Royal Dutch Shell must reduce its carbon emissions by 45% from 2019 levels by the year 2030 definitely ends any lingering debate over human-caused climate change. It is a clear signal that rational efforts toward environmental sustainability will henceforth be considered an obligatory norm in policy and corporate behavior, and is long overdue. The court decision, which was issued by the District Court of The Hague, was in response to a case filed by a huge number of claimants, including 7 environmental foundations and associations or non-governmental organizations and more than 17,000 individuals. The petitioners had argued that as the policy-setting center of the giant Shell Group, Royal Dutch Shell had acted unlawfully to skirt CO2 emissions reduction rules and had not taken sufficient action to reduce harmful emissions. The claims made in the court filing concern not only Royal Dutch Shell but its suppliers and customers as well. Royal Dutch Shell expressed disappointment with the court ruling and said that it was very likely the company would file an appeal. At first glance, the court ruling might appear to be a bit ambiguous. The judgment stated in part, "The court finds that Royal Dutch Shell is not currently in breach of its reduction obligation, as the claimants argue. Royal Dutch Shell has enhanced the Shell Group's policy and is working it out in more detail. However, seeing that as the policy is not concrete, the court finds that there is an imminent breach of the reduction obligation. The court has come to the conclusion that Royal Dutch Shell is obliged to ensure through the Shell Group's corporate policy that the CO2 emissions of the Shell Group, its suppliers, and its customers are reduced." The ruling concluded, "The specific requirement of a 45% emissions reduction by 2030 may be changed or removed if a higher court favors Shell's expected appeal of the ruling, given that the district court did not find a specific violation. However, even if that turns out to be the case, environmental advocates and market analysts agree that the real importance of the case is not in the specific remedy spelled out by the district court's ruling, but in the precedents the case sets. First, in terms of environmental compliance, transnational companies can now be judged according to international standards, such as the targets set by the 2015 Paris Climate Agreement, as opposed to just national laws. Second, the environmental policy and strategy of large companies cannot be separated from the value chains associated with those companies. In other words, Royal Dutch Shell cannot claim to be compliant with emissions reduction standards if some part of its network of suppliers and customers is not. The court ruling in effect emphasized that Royal Dutch Shell's responsibility does not stop at the office door. In a very real sense, the court decision is simply moving along with the quickening current of the economic world that is imposing environmental sustainability as normal business practice. Sovereign wealth and other investment funds are quickly retreating from environmentally unfriendly investments such as coal-powered electricity generation, to the extent that such sectors now carry a credit risk penalty. Public opinion, which has sharply swung in favor of sustainability, also plays a major role. No business that relies on a large consumer market will want to be seen as environmentally dirty, because the number of consumers who would find that offensive is much larger than the number who would be ambivalent, and growing rapidly. Those who, out of ignorance or malevolence, still struggle to maintain the pretense that climate change is uncertain or debatable or even a hoax may not be swayed by the Royal Dutch Shell court ruling, and that cannot be helped. But with the ruling, the world has reached a point where the rantings of naysayers need no longer be a concern, now that the world's legal systems and financial markets have accepted climate change as an everyday fact. The debate, if there ever really was one, is over. And that's the editorial for Saturday, May 29, 2021. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to The Voice of the Times.